I've been teaching guitar for almost 20 years now, and in that time I've written a ton of curriculum, a lot of which actually deals with ways to snap things together on guitar to cut down on thought processes while switching between things like chords and scales and different scale shapes, arpeggios, and understanding where the root structures are to snap all this together. Now, I actually use the major scales as kind of like the basis for where all these things snap into. And to go over this whole system takes a lot longer than just a few minutes in a video, so I'm actually just going to show you how I snap chords together right now. So on guitar, I always say that there is actually only 7 chord shapes. Now, how are there only 7 chord shapes on the guitar? It's because on the guitar, with the 7 major scale shapes, there's only 7 root structures. So if you take your chord shapes and build one off of each of those 7 root structures, you actually get your 7 chord shapes. Now let me show you how this works. So first of all, let's look at the chord shapes themselves in open position, so you can see these are chord shapes that you mostly already know, except for maybe one. So chord shape 1, chord shape 2, chord shape 3, chord shape 4, chord shape 5, chord shape 6, 7, back to 1. So most of those chords you probably recognize. So the next step with this is actually to take it and snap it into the major scale via the root structure, which each of these chords are actually built off of, and turn these into movable chords and move them up the neck. So here is scale shape 1. The root structure and the chord shape. Scale shape 2. Shape 3. Shape 4. Shape 5. Shape 6. Shape 7. And that brings you back to shape 1. So, as you can imagine, this is actually only the tip of the iceberg, and as you can imagine, this is a hugely efficient system for being able to play anything anywhere you want on the neck with very little thought process to it when you start snapping all these things together and using shapes that you already recognize. And now turning this into every chord, to any chord anywhere on the neck, is just a matter of learning how to manipulate these specific chord shapes and you know, change the tones, change the chord tones to the chord tones you want to build the chord you want. But it's all based off of the same root structure, so essentially only 7 chords, 7 chord shapes.